Anyway, not here to be a motivational speaker or something like that. That's not why I'm doing this. I'll start snapping about generating leads for your local service business through AdWords paid search, to start with anyway. Right, that's where I'm going next. All right, gonna give me some money? And I'll let you through. Okay, go for it. Next one. I did a video interview last week. It lasted about 70 minutes. I talked about local lead gen with AdWords paid search. And here's the link. One of the first things you have to do when you set up a new AdWords campaign is set the location targeting. Let's use my favourite example of a plumber in Dublin. So you're a plumber in Dublin and you want to get found by people looking for a plumber in Dublin. The very first campaign I would create would be one that targets the whole of Ireland. Me personally, I would call that campaign IP equals IE because I'm targeting the IP address of Ireland, curly brackets, Dublin plumber because all the keywords in that campaign are going to be related to Dublin plumber, and then I just put in round brackets at the end, Google and mod broad. Because I'm going to target the Google search engine and exclude search partners and the display network, and because all keywords within this campaign will be modified broad. The first ad group I'll create is going to be called Dublin plumber, and it's going to contain one keyword in modified broad. That keyword is going to be plus Dublin plus plumber. A modified broad keyword means that any word that has a plus in front of it should be in the search term that somebody is using when they search on Google. And there could be other words in the search term, and the words can be in any order. It also allows for close variants, so Dublin plumbers, if somebody typed that in, we would still show. And it allows for misspellings, so if somebody misspelled Dublin or plumber, then our ad is still eligible to show. I lied a bit. I said this would be the first campaign I'd create. It's not. The first campaign I would create would be to bid on the brand name of the business. For the brand name campaign, I'd probably still target Ireland and have, in curly brackets, brand name, whatever that is, Google mod broad. And hopefully the brand name isn't something silly like Best Dublin Plumber, because that's just a tough brand name to defend. Because people typing in that search term may be looking for the brand, or they may be just looking for the Best Dublin Plumber anyway. But here's the important part. After I've created the branded campaign, the first campaign I'm going to create is a geo-modified one, which means every search term that we want to appear for has to contain a location. In this case, Dublin, Dublin plumber, plumber Dublin. Even if someone was down in Cork and they typed in Dublin plumber, we would want our ad to show. They might be a person who has a property up in Dublin, a landlord for instance, who lives in Cork, and they're looking for a plumber for their tenant. Or there might be somebody who's on holiday down in Cork at the time, but their property is up in Dublin. We don't know. We don't really care. But the fact that they typed in plumber Dublin is enough for us to want our ad to appear. So for that first campaign, this is why we target the whole of Ireland, but we make sure that every search term contains the location Dublin. It doesn't matter where they are in Ireland. If they type in Dublin plumber, we want our ad to show. But there's a slight problem when you set up your campaign and you set the location targeting to Ireland. That's because our keyword is Dublin plumber, and Google is smart enough to know that Dublin is a location. So when somebody types in Dublin plumber, Google thinks, I think you probably wanted your ad to show in front of them. And then they're going to show your ad in front of them, even if they're not in Ireland. And that's a problem, because there's 9 Dublins in the US. The biggest one is a city called Dublin in Ohio. And maybe there are other Dublins around the world. Now, you could say Google's trying to be helpful here. Personally, I don't think so. I'll let you be the judge of that. But to prevent this from happening, you have to go into your campaign, make sure that the campaign is set to have all features, not just standard. Create a new campaign and make it a search network only. By default, I turn off the search partners. The thing I do is change it from a standard campaign to one with all features.
Oops, there's a gotcha. As soon as you change from standard to all features, all your other settings disappear. So turn off search partners again. Now scroll down and look for location options advanced. Click on that. From target people in searching for or who show interest in my targeted location recommended to people in my targeted location, which is Ireland by default for me. Now if I scroll back up and change that back to a standard campaign, we'll see that that location settings disappeared. So you're going to have to change from a standard campaign to one with all features enabled, and then go to location options advanced and select the middle of those options for target. So now when you target a search term that's geo modified, one that has a location in it, which you should be doing because those are the ones most likely to convert into a sale, now you're only going to show for people in your target location that you specified to Google, in this case Ireland. We're not going to show for the 9 Dublins in the US and ones in India or wherever else there are Dublins in the world. I've seen this reduce unwanted clicks from outside the target location by about 5% in the past. That's clicks that are not going to convert, so that's unwanted spend. So this is well worth doing.